And unfortunately, this individual was able to get it accomplished before the checks came around. And I don't have enough people to watch every single inmate individually every minute.
Well, it's just not possible.
No, it is not.
It's just not possible. I mean, I've this may come as a surprise. No, it won't come as a surprise to anybody. I've did some time in a detention center before.
Really?
And I know how quick things escalate inside a pod.
Correct.
And I've seen it go from 0 to 90 and an all-out 12 to 15 people brawl take place in a 25-person pod.
Yes.
Where the deputies were in the pod within 30, 35 seconds of that brawl taking place, and still 2 or 3 people carted out in critical condition.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can't react fast enough. It's impossible. And people think of us being able to prevent every single thing that occurs in there, and we just can't do it.
Yeah, I wanted to address that story because it was on the front page of the Star Banner today, and I knew that the investigation had been done. That you think your investigators are top notch, you know they're top notch, and that this was investigated thoroughly, and the result was the man took his own life.
That is correct. And Tom, we deal with suicide an awful lot, and in fact, we even have suicide within our own ranks. But the thing about suicide is that when the individual decides to do it, there's really nothing that anyone can do, and they've made that decision.
They always say, if somebody comes to you and goes, "I'm gonna kill myself," you need to watch. I'm gonna kill myself. Chances are they're not. They're kind of safe at that point. It's the person that says nothing to you and just goes away.
That's correct.
That commits suicide. I tell you, the worst. And it's amazing the places you see suicide. When I was 16 years old, Heath Westerfield, Tommy Westerfield, one of my buddies, his brother, we were his 16th birthday party, and Heath walked out. Now Heath was a good-looking guy, had one of the best-looking girlfriends in high school. He was on the debate team. He was very smart. Looked like he was going to have a full ride to college and everything.
Right.
He walks out in the driveway at his 16th birthday party, goes, "Thanks, everybody, for coming. I love all of you," and then shot himself. Right there in front of like 70 of us.
Wow. That's a shame.
If you'd have asked me out of all the people there to give you the top 3 people that would never commit suicide, I would have been number 1. My buddy Dino would have been number 2, and Heath would have been number 3.
Wow.
And he walked out and took his own life.
Yeah.
You never know what's going on in somebody's head.
You do not. You truly don't. You hope that you can convince him, you can hopefully stop him, but just like I said, and like him, his mind was made up.
And the thing is, people don't realize heart trouble is an illness. Issues with your lungs are an illness. Issues with your liver, your kidneys, they're illnesses. Issues with your brain's an illness too.
It is. That's exactly right.
And sometimes I think we say, "Uh-oh, it's brain. They're just whack job."
Yeah.
And we don't think of it as an illness.
No.
But you see that kind of thing every day with the mentally challenged.
We do. On a regular basis, we deal with the individuals, and we have programs, and we deal with it as best as we can, in hopes with the programs of which we have, and then just dealing, because we've had our share of deputies, or my share of deputies, that have gotten hurt from individuals with mental disorders. We've seen mental disorder in this county from some couple of homicides in which we've had, killing family members. So it is there, and I think society needs to recognize that, and I think society needs to step up to the plate and help.
You bring up a good point, though. It's not just in the public realm. Suicide is a real issue in law enforcement as well. And in this day and age where law enforcement have almost no respect countrywide, they're trying to defund the police and everything. I bet it's something that you ponder about your men and women more than you should.
That is correct, Tom. When I just came into office, I had a deputy that committed suicide.
Yep.
And and today, actually, it's ironic that we're talking about this. Today, out of the fire college, they have a recognition of Attorney General Ashley Moody be coming, CFO Petronas is coming, in regards to today being his First Responders Mental Health Awareness Day is what's going to be established. And they have a proclamation and to be put out there today. And I give kudos to legislation and all of those up in Tallahassee that recognize it, because here's the thing. especially in law enforcement. And you think about firefighters as well. Law enforcement, we see the true evil nature of the human being every single day, and that's what we go into. People don't dial 911 to come to your son's birthday party. No. They call us in the lowest points of their life, and when we're dealing with that, we also have our own personal lives where we're having to deal with the issues in our own personal life. And you combine the two, it is a combination definitely for not only stress, but mentally it can bear upon you and wear on you. And it's something that's always on my mind. It's always a concern, and we try to help and provide as much as we can out there. And you think the same as for firefighters. Firefighters go out there and see people, physically that are hurting physically. They see the same ones we do in mental illness as well, and what they have to deal with. And there's issues both in the firefighters and law enforcement that this occurs on a regular basis, unfortunately.
And now you have plenty of programs in place, though, to help officers if they need counseling, stuff like that.
Absolutely. And we have one of the things, and initiatives that a couple of legislators has helped us, and one of my sergeants, is peer support is basically what it is. A legislative bill that was passed, peer support allows an individual to come talk to a peer without the fear of being given, the look, labeled in a certain way, so that they can talk about their issues, so that hopefully we can prevent that. And there are many other programs in which we have that we open it up. But here's the thing, I tell every person, and this is like the programs for the inmates, trying to get them off of what they are. You can lead a horse to water,
cannot make them drink.
That is exactly right. And unfortunately, that's the human being, that's the human part that we cannot get over.
And there's also I'm a cop, I got to be tough.
Correct. Yes. That people don't. Well, I say people don't see that. I think they see the bad part. They think because they think they have an S underneath the uniform. Some of that's arrogance, but the other part is they don't want to talk about it. They've got that macho type mentality. Whether you're male or female doesn't make a difference. I'm a cop. I can't show weakness. I got to be strong. I'm a leader, and I have authority. And unfortunately, that's what beats them down, and that's what usually ends to it.
In this day and age where people across the country are asking for defunding of the police, and people are questioning tactics that the police use and everything, why is it that we here in Ocala, Marion County, haven't faced that same kind of look? Is it because, and I know the answer is probably, I already know the answer, but how important is communicating with the leaders of the public world and the communication between the police force and the pastors and the community leaders all around Ocala, and having a good relationship? How important is that to show that we don't have issues like they have in Minneapolis and like they have in other cities around the country?
First of all, I think we are very special in the state of Florida. We are very unique. And I think the state of Florida is an example for other law enforcements across this nation, and the standards and what we have. We all have our issues, and I already mentioned the human factor, and we're always going to have the human factor. But here in Marion County especially, I think it's because of our citizens. The citizens understand and know what the law is, and they understand and know what law enforcement is. And part of my job is ensuring that we have that connection that you just referred to with the community leaders. I think you already know that coming into office, Chief Graham and myself started having breakfast on a weekly basis, and then we expanded that to every single police chief and every single fire chief in Marion County. We have breakfast once a week, every day. And we do that, most of the time it's a BS session. We joke, we rag on each other. But the other times it provides us the opportunity to discuss issues, come to solutions, or just hash out problems that we got. And that's awesome. And we expand that, on occasion we invite other leaders to the table. But building, like myself, building the great relationship I have with the county commissioners, I think that's important, so they see and know what their law enforcement and their firefighters do on a regular basis, and it's vital. And I thank you for bringing it up, because Marion County is the example for the state of Florida. Because I don't think you can see to the level of cooperation, the collaboration of all of the entities in one group in any other county like we do here in Marion County.
County Commissioner Kathy Bryant always says, out of the 67 counties in the state of Florida, because the state of Florida is the greatest state to live in.
That's right.
But out of the 67 counties, the greatest county to live in is Marion County.
That's exactly right.
And say what you want about your colleagues, Grady and Ivy and all them. Say what you want. We got the best sheriff in the 67 counties.
Yeah, thanks, Tom.
And I love your little vignettes that Paul makes you do.
The Wanted by Woods Wednesdays.
Wanted by Woods Wednesdays.
A lot of people like that. It gets people's attention.
Well, you know, the former sheriff, Chris Blair, had the kiosk around.
You're right.
That showed wanted people, and those were effective.
Right.
And Wanted with Woods Wednesdays are very effective. I know for a fact you had a guy that you did Wanted on Woods Wednesday. His mama's called and said, I know where he is.
That is so true. We have caught, I think, today I haven't checked. Last time it was, I think there were only 2 individuals since I took office that we had not caught.
How many individuals that you've focused on Wanted by Woods Wednesdays turn themselves in?
I would say 50% of them.
Yeah, they're like, okay.
Yeah,
they
come in.
They're looking for me.
Now,
I better go take care of it.
There's one, and I'm going to hit on his name because he just can't catch the hint. Okay, he just can't do it, and that's Dill Pickle. Dill Pickle cannot catch the hint that if he does something stupid, and he will, that I will put him on there, and I will find him and bring him back to the jail.
He just can't get it through his head.
No, he can't get it through his head. He runs from us all the time. But here's what's sad is, and I yelled at him the first time when he was in the hospital after getting bit by the dogs, which I loved that. I told him, I said, you're going to either get one of my citizens or one of my deputies hurt or killed, and you're going to have to stop Dill Pickle. And eventually, unfortunately, he may end up getting hurt. I mean, he got hurt that night by the dogs, but that's a good thing.
Hey, when you say come out with your hands up or a dog's coming in, I'm coming out with my hands up.
Oh, absolutely. I will not take that dog.
I don't want a German Shepherd taking any chunk of me with them.
Nope, me neither.
Hey, let's talk about something that I was critical of. I'll be the first to say it.
Okay.
I was critical of it. I was critical of your stance on closing of the internet cafes.
Right.
And you didn't close the let me preface this. You did not close internet cafes. They are welcomed to still be open as internet cafes providing internet for people to use. They're not open for fish games and lottery games and bingo games and basically slot machine games. They're not open for that.
Correct.
That's what you went to the county commission and asked them to pass the ordinance to stop. You didn't ask them to close internet cafes.
Correct.
You asked them to stop the unregulated gaming that was going on in the cafes.
That is absolutely correct. And that move and having that ordinance put in place has made Marion County a little bit safer. Now, I'm not telling you the individuals in there are bad people. It's just when you create an environment like that where, one, illegal activity already occurs because it was illegal in which what they were doing, brings the individuals that commit other crimes, because we had armed robberies. Okay.
The one on Northeast Jacksonville Road, right by my house, was robbed about 3 weeks before the ordinance went into effect.
That is correct. And not only that, we had one where the armed robbery, pretty much the investigation revealed that the security guard was involved as well too. So, when you have stuff like that and when my citizens are being attacked, I've got to take a proactive approach to something. And if that means I've got to be heavy on regulating where they were, it was illegal, and what they were doing, it was not a game of chance, or it was a game of chance rather than a game of skill, and that's what made it illegal.
I said maybe we should have looked at doing what Bellevue's model was and regulating it, and I talked to Paul about this, your public information officer,
right.
Paul Bloom, and he goes, the sheriff looked at all options and everything, and it was determined that the illegality of what was going on and the people that were coming in without knowledge of who owned the place or who actually worked there.
Correct.
There was so much bad going on that it wasn't something you could regulate. You just had to get rid of it.
Absolutely. Regulating it would have been a nightmare. And we did try other avenues to curtail some of that and bring it in, rein it in is basically what we tried to do. And each of those steps failed. And the ultimate was what we have now. In regards to that and the enforcement and pushing them back out.
And you tell people Bellevue's open for business.
Yeah. I don't know if Bellevue would like me sending everybody there. But we're not the first county to do it. You know, Jacksonville, actually, the ordinance in which we created
Duval did it first.
Correct, they did. And it was very successful. There was three other counties that's doing it, and others are starting to see the effect that it has on their citizens. And so I think it has proved to help our citizens and make it safe for them.
Well, after I got past we could regulate it and why we couldn't regulate it, and then with the robbery that took place near Northeast Jacksonville, on Northeast Jacksonville Road, less than a mile from my house, and I always would see, because I stay up later at midnight sometimes.
Right.
And I'd come home with the Uber, and I would see that this place was packed.
Oh, yeah.
At 1 a.m.
Yep.
And now I am a recovering coke addict. I don't make any bones about that. And I thought, well, they're from 1 to 5, 6 in the morning. The average person needs help to stay up like that. So there may be illegal drugs going on through these places too, or money being laundered from drug deals. So I started to see this may be an issue.
I promise you that's exactly what was occurring. Drug activity and the laundering of the money.
Without any idea who owned the place.
Correct. Oh, that was probably the most difficult out of this whole process. It was trying to figure out who actually owned the businesses.
Yeah, because once the ordinance was passed, the first place you went to shut down because they refused to shut down.
Yeah, they didn't catch the hint like Dill Pickle.
You arrested some employees. Yep. And they were like, we don't know who owns the place. We get told every week to take our check out of the cash drawer. And
that's what we call a clue.
Yeah. People always call me. Friends of mine that know I'm on the air call me. It makes no sense. Kind of like you. You know,
I called you once.
But that was on the air because Paul wouldn't answer his phone.
That's exactly right.
I said, I got to take this call. Paul Bloom goes, huh? We're in the middle of an interview. I go, it says Sheriff Billy Woods. Paul goes, yeah, you need to take that call.
I forget what we discussed. That was a good one, though.
Yeah, it was back when I had Common Sense with Tom Schmitz. You had called my video studio.
Yep, yeah. I remember, because Paul was on there. I said, I got to call Tom. I haven't spoke to him in a long while.
Let's touch briefly on something that is very sad for me. I know it's very sad for you, as he was one of your dearest friends. But the untimely passing of Chief Greg Graham. But June 5th, I know that the Punishers Motorcycle Club, that I'm very good friends with, and the Copperhead Motorcycle Club, which I think you have an affiliation with.
I do.
They're coming together to do a poker run to benefit the Greg Graham Legacy Fund. It's going to be June 5th, and I just think that we need to keep the memory of one of the greatest people that ever graced Marion County alive. You know,
Greg, I've heard this from many, many people. Greg was probably the smartest man that I have ever known, to be honest with you. You know, growing up with him at the Ocala Police Department, not only in the lower ranks, but also having him as a chief and a mentor, you know, it was a great loss. Greg had compassion. He had a love for the people, love for his employees. He always was forward-thinking.
The amnesty program shows you that.
Oh, absolutely. That amnesty program was in his heart. That was what he just.
Do you have 5 minutes extra?
I do. Yeah, I'm here for you, Tom.
Let me keep you five minutes because we need to talk about this. This is WOCA. The Source will be right back after this timeout with Sheriff Billy Woods of the Marion County Sheriff's Department.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
It's time for Farm and Ranch headlines on the Southeast AgNet. I'm Tyron Spearman reporting. Peanut farmers are getting their seed ready in the field. The ideal planting date is from May the 1st to May the 15th, so that means farmers will really be putting the seed down for peanuts and cotton in their rotation. Checking on the markets around the world, the Chinese market has been a big buyer of U.S. peanuts. They buy them for edible oil-crushing peanuts, setting a floor on the world market. According to sources, they said the high price of Chinese peanuts has resulted in slow sales for exports. So they're not exporting, they're importing, mainly runner type in shell for the purpose of making peanut oil. Peanut oil prices are stable. All the oil factories have entered the market to purchase more if they can find them. The other competition right now is Argentina. Argentina expects to lower their exports by 14%. The weather has caused a 30-day delay mainly because of cold temperatures, and the maturity of the peanuts are only reaching 35 to 40%, well below normal values due to the climate changes during this evolution. Most farmers remain expectant and continue waiting a few days, leaving the peanuts in the ground, hoping the plants will mature and get those peanuts up for top yield and top quality. The short-cycle peanut varieties are doing well. They're harvesting those this week, and they expect a yield between 3 to 3.2 metric tons per hectare.
Previsol fungicide is to plant fields with vowels are to the English language. With it, disease control sind compult.
It couldn't be any clearer. Provosol fungicide is to peanut fields what vowels are to the English language. Without it, disease control isn't complete. Provosol fungicide from BASF is the missing piece you need to finish off disease. Always read and follow label directions.
I'm Tyron Spearman for Southeast AgNet.
When it really counts, depend on the source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Partly sunny today, high 90 to 92. Clear tonight, low 70 to 73. Clouds and sun tomorrow with a thunderstorm at a couple of spots, high 91 to 94. Wednesday, clouds and sun with a thunderstorm in the afternoon, high 91 to 94. Thursday, cloudy with a thunderstorm, high 86 to 93. Friday, some sun, high 82 to 89. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Brian May.
You're getting ready to move and you work hard. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. You need pros. Trained professional moving experts to do the heavy lifting for you. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. They care about your things as much as you do, and they do it fast and right. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. Visit twomeninatruck.com and get moving.
Two Men in a Truck.
Previsol fungicide is to plant fields with vowels are to the English language. With it, disease control sind compult.
It couldn't be any clearer. Provosol fungicide is to peanut fields what vowels are to the English language. Without it, disease control isn't complete. Provosol fungicide from BASF is the missing piece you need to finish off disease. Always read and follow label directions.
Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion brings together business and community partners, economic development leaders, and educational providers to connect employers with qualified skilled talent and job seekers with employment and career development opportunities. Tune in the first Wednesday of each month at 9:30 to Career Source, Citrus, Levy, Marion, and learn how they can help you.
We're back. The 30th Orlando International Fringe Theater Festival will take place May 18th to the 31st in Lock Haven Park, and digitally June 4th through the 18th through a new program called DigiFringe. Enjoy performances from artists all around the world. Ticket prices range from free to $12 and are available online at orlandofringe.org or at the box office.
The Ocala Golf Club, one of Ocala's premier golf courses, from its pristine 18-hole course layout to its amazing pro shop. Jason Linhart and the staff at Ocala Golf offer everything that you need for your golf outing. That's the Ocala Golf Club. Experience country club style golf at municipal prices. You won't go wrong with the Ocala Golf Club. Call them for a tee time today, 352-401-6917.
This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmidt, bringing stories that are important to our community in and around Ocala. Plus, of course, a splash of sports as well. Now, here's your host, Tom.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks. We held Sheriff Billy Woods over just for a few minutes. We also have Captain Blair in the building, Jesse Blair from the Ocala Fire Department. And Sheriff Woods swears he's going to do a great segue from what we were talking about, Chief Greg Graham and his legacy, the poker run that's going to be June 5th, and how great the chief was for our community. A great segue right into the fire department. So take it away, Sheriff.
All righty. No, Greg, you know, I'll say this right now. I miss Greg.
I miss him every day.
The phone. You're right. The phone calls in which we made almost every single day, discussing the issues, the camaraderie that him and I had of being able to play off each other and knowing, that one of the advantages of growing up through an agency together, you think alike. So when it came to deal with problems and issues in the community, both him and I were on the same page. And our approaches may be a little bit different in certain areas, but those approaches matched up to each other. They mirrored each other, or they paired up so that we got what was accomplished for the community. And the community lost a great leader.
100%.
And the Ocala Police Department lost a great chief. One of the best chief in my time of being there at the Ocala Police Department. And kudos to your group and everybody else as trying to keep that alive of what he did for this community. And I miss him, and I know a lot of other people do as well, too.
I miss the text messages he would send me just out of the blue, off-the-wall text messages. And there was not a better Gator fan that thought the University of Florida had no chance of winning every football game they ever played.
That's the truth. Actually, it's funny you say text. I've got his last text message to me, which was 2 days before the plane crash, and we were ragging on our drug unit because, the drug unit's always wanting stuff, and we rag on them pretty bad. So
well, they end up with a lot of opioid situations, though, and that's something that Captain Blair knows quite a bit about, too, is the opioid crisis in this community. And by the way, if Jesse's said this numerous times, him and I have talked about this numerous times, if you had a serial killer that was killing at the rate opioids are killing in this community, the community would be in an uproar.
Absolutely.
And they would say, Billy Woods, you're out of office. There'd be a recall on you. The chief would be fired.
Absolutely.
And that's what we have. We have a serial killer. Captain Blair, we have a serial killer. It's called opioids.
You're absolutely correct. Jesse's absolutely correct. There is a serious problem with the opioids, a serious problem with the use of this fentanyl and killing people. I get the reports on a regular basis, weekly, of the overdoses in which we have, and it's a serious, serious problem. And, we are doing everything we can on our end of attacking it. But I know my time is coming up short here, and I'm here. But Chief Shane Alexander ain't here. I think he got scared, to be perfectly honest with you, Tom.
I'm staying away from that one. And I bet Captain Blair is going to stay away from that
well,
one, too.
see, now Captain Blair, he's part of the SWAT team, so he isn't doing the staging. So probably Chief Alexander's outside staging, waiting for me to tell him it's okay to come, but he may not be here.
He may be out there.
He could be out there. SWAT members in here, they know they just go in. But Shane, Chief Alexander, I pray for you every day. One day you'll see the light, and I might even swear him in one time. I'll go that far.
I'm staying away from that. I'm not even going anywhere near that.
What? That's the best way, because me and Greg we always loved ragging on both of the Chief Bant and Chief Alexander, and I think that's the best way to leave.
You said it all.
Sheriff Billy Woods, Marion County Sheriff. Thanks, Sheriff.
Always a pleasure, Tom.
Talk to you soon. Jesse, I'm not going anywhere near that. I'm staying as far away from that conversation as I can.
So let's move on to the next thing.
With the opioid crisis has been front and center here in the last few weeks. With the newspaper reporting, there's been radio reports about how the uptick is taken on in overdoses and in deaths. I mean, and I know y'all are doing everything you can. Everybody's got Narcan and everything. I mean, I literally saw a week ago a red Pontiac Grand Prix halfway out in the traffic on Highway 40 with a driver slumped over the steering wheel. And I don't know if it was a medical issue, a heart attack or anything, but the first thing come to my mind is heroin overdose. I mean, it's almost like not so common that you see somebody that you see, somebody passed out on the sidewalk or somebody asleep somewhere. You immediately go, like I had a guy, he was asleep in the parking lot the other night at a place I was at. And he was intoxicated. That's why he was asleep. But I went and shook him, and he woke up, and you could tell he was drunk and everything. But I shook him to see if he was responsive, because if he wasn't, I was going to call 911 because the immediate thought in my head was heroin overdose.
Yeah. A lot of people see that around the area, and they call 911, which is the right thing to do. You just want to make sure that you're safe, and a lot of times you're not. So going up to somebody like that who you think is passed out, just call 911. We'll come out there and we'll mitigate the situation.
I don't know if frustrating is the right word here, but it's got to take a toll on the men and women of the fire department. So many calls they answer are people in various stages of distress because of opioids and fentanyl and heroin.
Sure. They call it compassion fatigue. You continue to see the same people make the same mistakes over and over and over again, and you can only feel sorry for them for so long. And it's very difficult, especially on a 24-hour shift, to go to the same person multiple times in a day, making the same mistake. It does take its toll.
Yeah. Hold on. You said multiple times in the same day?
Sure. Yeah, we've been to, I think our record is 5 times. We've been to the same person 5 times in one shift, one 24-hour shift, for overdosing 5 different times that day.
And they have to go to the hospital and get released every time?
They do. Yep.
How in the hell is there enough time in the day to OD 5 times?
Well, everybody's overwhelmed. So when the patient goes to the hospital, the doctor at the emergency room has to treat heart attacks and people with car crashes and kids that are choking and stuff like that.
And you know what their ailment is? They came in on overdose on opioids or overdose on heroin.
Right.
As soon as the Narcan brought them back, as soon as their vitals are stable.
Yep. They watch them for a period of time, and then when they know that they're in the kind of the safe zone,
they release them.
Right. They can't be admitted. There's not really anything wrong with them, so they let them go.
And then they go right back to probably the same stash that they OD'd on,
right,
and do it all over again.
There are some better treatments out there, and our community is now on board and is taking advantage of those other treatments. So instead of Narcan, Narcan gets into your system, all the opiates in there, it takes all those opiates away. So the person goes almost into withdrawals right away. So the only thing they can think of is that next hit.
Got to get fixed again.
Right, got to get that fix. So this new treatment reduces the need for Narcan going forward. So like detox, you don't have to go to detox anymore, right, or clinical withdrawal management. It uses a drug called Suboxone or a drug called buprenorphine to kind of get in your body and get on those receptors so you can think and function without having that really, really sick feeling.
Right, that I need to get a fix because my body's going to shut down if I don't.
Right.
I recently had back surgery 7 weeks ago tomorrow. And one of the things they gave me for back surgery was oxycodone. Oxycodone is at the crux of this issue.
It is.
Because of the pill mills in the late 90s and early 2000s where they gave oxycodone out like it was a payday candy bar at Halloween. For lack of a better term, that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
And so I was in bad pain, the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. So I took oxycodone because the doctor said, you're going to want, I said, I don't want it. No, you're going to want that. He gave me a hydrocodone prescription of oxycodone. Took oxycodone. 2 hours later, it had dulled it a little, but not enough. I go, well, I'll take another one. 2 hours later, I took a third one. It's 2 a.m. I'm in my backyard. I don't mind telling the story. It's a funny story, but it shows you the just how quick oxycodone can just arrange your brain where you have no control. I'm in my yard at 2 a.m. thinking that there's a picnic going on in my backyard.
Wow.
That there's 70 people in my backyard partying with me. Go wake my fiance up. Can't believe she's not in the backyard with us. Then I'm eating ice cream. But there's nothing in my hand. I don't have a spoon. But I'm eating it, and I show her, no, it's a party. You can see I'm eating ice cream. Nothing. I said, well, I got to call somebody to explain it to you. She hands me the remote control. I use it as the telephone. Now, this is just after 3 oxycodone that I got a prescription of, I ended up with 21 of them. And I got a prescription for back pain. How many stories start with I got it as a prescription for a knee replacement or for a back surgery or for a shoulder surgery or I had a hernia fixed? It scared me so bad that after that, I took 2 hydrocodone the next day. And within 48 hours of my surgery, my pain management was Tylenol and ibuprofen because it scared the hell out of me. And as a recovering addict, I have a little background in it. So when it scared me, I was like, throw them away, flush them down the toilet. I'm done. But I could see how people, just normal Joes, can end up under the grip of this thing. And I only took 3 of them. But I took 3 of them in 6 hours, which was abusing them, yes, but it made the pain go away.
It's a predicament. It really is. I mean, you have real chronic illnesses like back pain is a big one. If you got bad knees, you got to go to work, you got to walk around, your knees hurt. That's a legitimate painful condition, and you don't want to live with the pain. You can't function as well with the pain, so you start taking pills, and it's not for your intentions aren't nefarious. You want to just get rid of the pain so you can move on with your life, and before you know it, you're a bottle deep, and you need another bottle. So you go to a doctor, they give you another bottle, and it just kind of rolls downhill from there.
Yeah, I took 3, and was having hallucinations like I hadn't had since I was in my 20s, doing things I shouldn't have done.
Right.
And it scared me. But most people just would say the pain went away. That was my goal, was the pain went away. Because most people take it and go to sleep. Once the pain goes away, they go to sleep. I didn't, for some reason, it wired me. It had a different effect on me.
Sure.
And instead of knocking me unconscious, it made me wide awake, but not lucid at all. Yeah. And that's the thing. It has different effects on different people. They can't guarantee how this drug will react from individual to individual.
Yeah. Some people are more sensitive to it. Some people aren't as sensitive, so they have to take higher doses. But it's a mess. It really is a mess.
And like I said, and you and I have discussed this numerous times, if a serial killer had as many deaths under their belt as we have right now, how many deaths this year in Marion County are we at now?
I don't know the exact numbers. I think it's probably about 30.
Right. If we had a serial killer that had killed 30 people since January 1, Shane Alexander would be out of a job. Billy Woods would be out of a job. Mike Balkin would be out of a job. County commissioners would be getting recalled. People would be on lockdown. You think there was a lockdown when they shut the state down for COVID? Have a serial killer roaming Marion County that killed 30 people in less than 5 months. Nobody would go out.
Yeah, and people think that they're insulated from it because they don't know everything about it. So I don't know. My kids don't have chronic pain issues, but they do go to high school, and there are drugs in all of the high schools. So I have this false sense of security, like it's not going to affect me. And I live that way until I find my son or daughter passed out on the bathroom floor, and I have to give Narcan to them. And then it becomes very much a real problem for me, and I invest my time and resources in trying to fight it. And I'm telling you, in Marion County, if people wait to get involved until one of their loved ones is on the floor,
it's too late.
It's going to be too late.
I read an article recently that the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, is looking at how they classify things and all. And, back in the day, marijuana was first. That was the gateway to cocaine. Then cocaine was the gateway to heroin, and then so on. And a lot of people are saying, and that's how, as teenagers, first thing we did at 13, 14, we experimented with marijuana, or 17, 18, marijuana. The DEA says that the number one experimental drug now comes out of the medicine cabinet, that it's not marijuana anymore, that marijuana is so widely accepted that it's not the drug that is experimented with anymore. The drug that experimented with is out of the medicine cabinet. And by the way, they didn't specifically say any drug. They just said drugs in the medicine cabinet, because kids might not know what they're taking,
right,
that they're taking out of mom and dad's medicine cabinet.
It doesn't have to be prescription either. You can drink a bottle of NyQuil and
Oh, yeah.
fall asleep.
Quick.
Right.
And die.
Right. So I mean, it's like I said.
I know kids that take Benadryl. They'll all take Benadryl so they get sluggish and eat wiggly. And I'm like, really? You're taking antihistamine? And I know now that in my 50s, I look down at, and I don't look down on them in a bad way, but I look at people and go, really? That's what you wanted to try to get high with? And I know that people, when I was in my 20s, probably looked at us and went, because back in my day, and I say back in my day, bottle glue and gas were what
Yikes.
the psychos huffed.
Right.
And we would go, hell are y'all doing? But you would see people all the time sniffing bottle glue, magic markers, gas, and that's how they would get high. And that's what the medicine cabinet of today is, the gas can and bottle glue of my day. Mm-hmm. And I what's the answer? That is the $64,000 question, is what's the answer?
I think that society is, there's all kinds of upheaval, and there's people fighting other people, and there's just all this unsettled feeling in society, so it makes people uncomfortable. And when people are uncomfortable, they look for ways to be comfortable. And then it's much better if I don't have to deal with it. So instead of feeling uncomfortable, mom and dad are divorced, or I'm feeling uncomfortable, my teacher doesn't like me in school, I'm getting bad grades, getting yelled at, well, I can take a Benadryl and just kind of check out. Or I can take one of my Adderall and my Benadryl, and then that's crazy.
That's all
my
crazy.
body's kind of fighting which way it wants to go. So I think society has a lot to do with it.
A removal from reality.
Yeah. Somewhere along the line, Americans thought life would be pain-free and I would never be uncomfortable, and that's part of the problem.
You may be onto something there. You may be onto something. Hey, let's talk for a minute. Let's switch gears. Now we've talked about opioids. We know it's a problem in our community. We need the community's help to solve it. It's not going to be solved by the police arresting people. It's not going to be solved by the fire department. Even though y'all go out and do wellness checks and everything, it takes a community. It's going to take a community to stand up and say enough. But it also takes a community to make themselves fire safe. And I know y'all offer a lot of programs to help people with fire safety. Talk about some of those programs where you'll actually go knock on people's doors. Talk to them about fire safety, escape plans, their fire detectors. Talk about some of those programs.
We've got a small army of firefighters who are dedicated to preventing accidents before they happen. So in addition to our prevention department, where if you have a business and you have a question, one of our fire prevention officers will come out there and answer your questions. We will also, on the city's website, ocalafire.org, ocalafire.org, you can go on there and you can order a smoke detector. So if you're a homeowner and you're not sure if your smoke detectors are working, you have one beeping, you're not sure if it's in the right place, you can call, you can go to the website, or you can call 629-8306, and we'll come out there and we'll make sure your smoke detectors are operating, replace the batteries, put a new one in for you, make sure they're in the right place, stuff like that.
And it's one of those issues. I when I moved in with my fiance, I was looking around and I noticed something, because I cook quite a bit. She's a great cook, but I cook too. And I looked around and I noticed the closest fire detector to our kitchen was like 25, 30 feet away. And I thought, shouldn't there be one in the kitchen? Because a lot of home fires start with grease in the kitchen. And that's the kind of thing, because developers, when they go put them throughout the house and all, I know there are some regulations of where they have to go and all, but sometimes even an inspector will miss something or something. It's within code of where it needs to be. But I still think a fire detector 20 feet from the actual center of the kitchen is a little too far for me.
Well, and you're like everybody else. They would like a smoke detector directly above their oven. So
well, you can't do it directly above the oven.
Right. Usually, the person who builds the house puts the smoke detector in the appropriate place. If you put a smoke detector too close to the kitchen,
it'll go off all the time.
Every time you cook bacon or every time you burn something,
100%.
It's going to go off. It's just an alarm. You can shut it off. if your comfort level means you want a smoke detector closer to that area, you're welcome to put a smoke detector.
I got it
wherever
now
you want it.
halfway in between the kitchen and the laundry room. The two places that catch fire the most in homes are the kitchen and the dryer.
Right. Exactly. You're exactly right.
So now I got this, and it a couple times it was a nuisance when I opened the oven door and the bacon that was cooking in there, the smoke came out, and you gotta go wave the paper but I'd rather have that nuisance than be asleep one night or in the morning or something and get caught up in your morning coffee and reading the paper or something out on the porch and forget you left the bacon cooking. And people think, oh well, you'd never forget. Happens all the time.
Oh, it does happen all
People
the time.
forget even bacon cooking on the stove.
Several times a day, our firefighters go out there, and that's usually the problem. Is someone gets burned, it hits the smoke detector, it goes off. People think there's an actual fire, and then the fire truck goes out there,
and it's just burnt food that's created the issue. But still, people forget stuff on the stove all the time.
Oh yes, they'll start cooking a meal, get a phone call, and then completely leave their house and not come back.
When I was in college, I had a next door neighbor in the college. His fire alarm went off, which means the entire apartment complex had to vacate, and the fire department come out and everything. He had got a call from a professor that he needed to come immediately. There was an issue with one of his tests and everything, that if he didn't get there within 15, 20 minutes, he was going to fail the class, and he left with 3 eggs boiling on the stove.
Ooh.
Didn't even think, he was so frazzled about, oh God, I'm going to fail. He left the eggs burn up, caused the smoke detector in his apartment to go off. The entire apartment complex had to be evacuated for a time, and it was all because he had forgot he had eggs on the stove when he rushed out.
Well, I mean, it's easy to strike a good balance between where you put your smoke detector and cooking stuff in the kitchen. And go to ocalafire.org and have our firefighters or prevention guys come out there, and they'll put it exactly where it needs to go.
And you'll come out and help us with plans on that, because that's another thing people don't like. I live in a 2,500 square foot house that is
one percenter.
My fiance is. The master bedroom's at one end of the house. Then you have a big living room area. Then you have the kitchen. Then you have a den area. Then you have the other 2 bedrooms at the opposite end of the house. Plus you have the outdoor lanai. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, if we had a fire in here, how would we get out? She goes, well, we just go out the side door, the French doors here on the bedroom, out to the lanai and out in the backyard. That's great. We have that outlet. But what do we tell our guests that are in the guest rooms?
Yeah.
And I was like, we need to figure out how to tell them, if we have a guest in the guest room, how to get out of the house. And that's something you guys can help people with as well, as escape plans also.
Yep. We generally do that when we go to the kids. So we'll go to the schools, show them the fire truck. We'll have a firefighter put their gear on to know that they're not scary, even though their voice sounds like a robot. We get down on their level, they touch the gear, figure out it's not scary. But we go through an escape plan with them at their level. And the same thing should happen at every house. Every parent should be getting with their kids and saying, this is the hallway down where your bedroom is. If there's a fire here, don't just sit in your room because you think you don't think of the windows. If there's fire here and you can't get out of the house, you need to open a window and go through the window. If it's a second-story bedroom, you need to make accommodations for that child to know how to get out of their house. Same thing with your guests. You should have a conversation, and if you have a fire, let them know where the safest place to go is. And then after the fire, you need to all rally together somewhere. Don't all go different directions.
Right.
You all need to meet in the same place.
So the fire knows everybody's there and there's nobody in the house.
Right.
And by the way, your pets, I know you love them. Get yourself out first.
We'll get your pets.
Yeah, we'll get your pets. Tell everybody the website one more time.
Ocalafire.org.
Ocalafire.org. Captain Jesse Blair joins us after the sheriff called out the chief for not being here.
I know, right?
Staying out of that conversation. Jesse, thanks so much for what you do for our community.
Thank you, sir.
We'll be right back after this timeout. 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
A tomato plant disease that has the capability of sticking around for years. That's coming up on This Land of Ours.
Whether at your local green market, corner grocery store, or neighborhood restaurant, you're supporting your community when you buy local.
Food grown right here by Florida farmers doesn't need to be shipped as far.
That saves fuel and cuts emissions.
Buying local is more than just supporting area businesses and growers.
It's buying fresh, wholesome, and delicious food for your family.
Products you trust from people you trust.
Fresh from Florida.
Good for the environment.
Good for the economy.
Good for you.
Hi, I'm Greg Peterson of the Peterson Farm Brothers. If you've seen our videos, you know we're proud to be farmers. Farming can be dangerous. Never assume location or depth of underground utilities or pipelines. Before you start any work on your farm, call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com to have underground lines located. It only takes a minute and can save your life.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
Early blight is caused by the soil-borne pathogen Alternaria solani, and this fungus can stick around for years because it overwinters in the soil, even in cold climates. Most early blight cases won't kill your plants, but it causes bullseye-shaped, brown-shaped spots on the lower leaves of the plant. The surrounding tissues turn yellow, and eventually the infected leaves fall off the plant. In most cases, the plant continues to produce fruits, even as the disease moves up the plant. Organic fungicides that use copper or Bacillus subtilis effectively slow or stop the spread of early blight. Bicarbonate fungicides work as well. Preventative measures work well to stop this fungal disease from infecting your plants. Always mulch underneath your tomato plants to prevent soil-dwelling spores from splashing onto your plant. I'm Kathy Isom, Southeast AgNet.
When it really counts, depend on the source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Partly sunny today, high 90 to 92. Clear tonight, low 70 to 73. Clouds and sun tomorrow with a thunderstorm at a couple of spots, high 91 to 94. Wednesday, clouds and sun with a thunderstorm in the afternoon, high 91 to 94. Thursday, cloudy with a thunderstorm, high 86 to 93. Friday, some sun, high 82 to 89. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Brian May.
You're getting ready to move and you work hard. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. You need pros. Trained professional moving experts to do the heavy lifting for you. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. They care about your things as much as you do, and they do it fast and right. That's why you call Two Men in a Truck, 352-289-0666. Visit twomeninatruck.com and get moving.
2 Men in a Truck.
Prevasil